Oh, what happened to the countdown?
I have no idea. It counted itself down,
It's
and we're
supposed to
live.
be on. It's supposed to be on loop, but never mind. We'll just
Oh
have to
well.
wait and see. Oh, I'm wearing my specs as well. That reflects the light. There we go. That's better.
You've got a lot of light. It's so cool. We're
I'm
gonna
just sat by a window. That's all it
oh,
is. Yeah, it's just
natural light. Welcome
natural
spring.
daylight. All right. Well, here we are on a Tuesday at 5,
Yes.
and we're on our own.
And we're in our own. We've got 0 attendees. How exciting.
Oh, we have one person that's arrived. That's nice. Hello, person that has arrived. We
Tell us
are,
who you are, person number one.
yes, you are the first person. Welcome, welcome. It's very exciting. Yeah, we're just waiting for other folks to rock up. Sometimes it takes a bit of time for the message to go out on LinkedIn and YouTube. It looks like they're all kind of working, but we will see. So whoever you are, please
Yeah,
say
Ashgar.
hello. Ashgar, how are you doing?
We've got
Sorry.
Hannah as well, joining from LinkedIn.
Oh, great. So at least we know that LinkedIn and YouTube are both working. So that's at least good to know. I'm seeing something very strange. Oh, sorry. Oh, hang on. My son's tutor has arrived. I have to mute my mic.
Is that the tutor?
Yes, he's
No,
come
it's the dog.
early today. Well, yes, it's not the tutor barking, it's the dog barking at the tutor. My son, who's completely oblivious, obviously, to anything that's happening outside of his bedroom, has not realized he needs to come and answer the door. Honestly, kids these days, so irresponsible.
Yes, indeed.
Well, they've changed the UX of YouTube. That's very confusing. Right. So we have a couple of people, so we may as well kick off, and then
Let's do it.
whoever shows up, and whoever doesn't. All right. So, okay, I'll kick off then. Hello, folks, all three of you. So that's 5. It's fine.
I've already.
5. It's a tsunami of Amazon candidates. Right, folks. So, hey, welcome to our live session. Looks like it might be a little bit of an intimate one, but that's cool. There's more for you if that's the case. So if you don't already know, I'm guessing you do because you have found the YouTube channel. I am Gigi. And let me guess, am I going to do the right side? No, I never get the right side. I'm pathetic. This is my fabulous business partner, Yevgeny. And we are the co-founders of Day One Careers. To give you a little brief history of Day One Careers, Yevgeny and I did not know each other. We both worked at Amazon at exactly the same time. We figured out we were probably kind of one floor between the two of us. I think I was on 5 and you were on 4 or something like that. But never our paths met. So independently, we were busy interviewing on behalf of Amazon. I was a bar raiser. And through the course of that experience, we kind of separately identified the fact that candidates just possibly weren't performing as well as they could have performed if they understood a little bit better about how to approach the Amazon interview process. Yevgeny, to speak on his behalf, I think started to offer a little bit of coaching at the end of his sessions with his candidates and then moved them through to the next round where on average, I believe they tended to perform much better than candidates would have done otherwise. I started being a bit nosy about my candidates' preparation and the people I was interviewing and trying to understand where they were getting their information sources from and then digging around in their information sources as a good dive deep Amazonian is wont to do, and discovered that there was at the time just a load of rubbish. I was going to use a kind of slang colloquialization, but I'm not sure it would translate. So a load of rubbish on YouTube with people telling candidates all sorts of nonsense that was just not correct. Some of those people having never been Amazon employees themselves. So I set up a little YouTube channel, ran that for a while. Yevgeny and I both left Amazon, I think about a year apart, actually. I think Yevgeny left a year before I did. We both independently kind of set up our own interview kind of prep services, offering courses and one-to-one coaching. And then through a common candidate that we had, they introduced us and we realized that we would do far better working together than we would competing with each other. So it's a nice collaboration and we have been together ever since. So we have this very extensive YouTube channel, which I really, really hope you're making great use of. We also have a fantastic blog on our Day One Careers website, and we do offer some amazing freebies, which will, if you please do hang around until we finish, we will give you links to at the end. But we run our live sessions because we know that people like to be able to interact with us one-on-one. And even though the channel is extensive, sometimes people just the answer isn't there in the channel, or they haven't managed to find it in the channel because it's so extensive. So we're here to answer all of your questions. Just a tiny little bit of housekeeping, which is, if you do have quite a long question, could you kind of just capture it in 2 parts? If you know you're going to have to go over 2, like 1 of 1 and 2 of, well, you know what I'm saying, 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. The other thing is, we aren't going to answer specific technical questions. Our expertise is in kind of the behavioral side of things, which is common across every single job family in Amazon. But when it comes to specific kind of technical questions, functional questions, there are tens of thousands of job families in Amazon. We simply cannot be experts in all of them. So if you're going to ask us a question about the functional side of your interview, in all probability, we're going to tell you that we can't answer it. Feel free to ask it in case, but we'll let you know that we can't answer it. And then on the other side, please don't ask us generic questions, i.e. I've got an interview in a couple of days' time, any tips? Because we could sit here and talk for hours and hours about the general tips that we have. We decided we wouldn't do that, so we built an entire YouTube channel for it. So no generic questions, please. Go to the YouTube channel and surf for that. And specific functional questions, possibly we won't be able to answer it. I think that's about it. As I said, stay around until the end. We have an awesome freebie to hand out. And we'll also talk to you about our ChatGPT bot, which Evgeny, make sure you remind me for us to talk about at the end. Other than that, we're here to answer questions. So let's start. And, not a huge turnout today. So if we finish in 20 minutes, then we'll finish in 20 minutes. But keep asking your questions, folks, and we'll give you the answers as best we can. All right. Oh, Hannah says she was stuck on the pre-live page. That's strange. Okay. We haven't really got anyone else from LinkedIn. So there might be something funky with LinkedIn. All right. I tell you what, Evgeny, why don't you kick off, and I'm going to dig around on LinkedIn and see if I can resolve anything. And then I'll go on mute.
Sure, no problem. Okay, cool. So let's see. The first question that I've got, so it's a multi-part question here from Ashgar. So Ashgar is asking us to explain the outcomes of loop interviews. So everyone knows what inclined is. Yep. Then the question was, could you explain what not inclined means? Well, you're saying that everyone knows what inclined means, but inclined doesn't mean you're getting the job. Ha. So there's inclined. All inclined means is that they would be inclined to hire a particular candidate if there was a job to offer to this candidate. But if you've watched our YouTube channel closely, you will know that Amazon has what we call a first past the post hiring system, which means that even if you get to an inclined decision, sometimes in some occasions, someone else might have interviewed before you, and if they raise the bar during that interview, Amazon would need to offer them the job, right? If they've received an inclined decision. So Amazon might still interview you, for example, if you're following that candidate that just got the job, and they may still achieve the inclined outcome. They may still decide that the vote for from the loop will be inclined, but there is no job to give you. So the recruiter will unfortunately come back to you and say that you're clear for Amazon, quote unquote, but there isn't a job to give you. And so from then on, there are some multiple options, different directions that you can take. One of which is, if there's a very similar or exactly the same job, same level, same job description, but in a different team, you might be able to get that job just by having a one conversation with the hiring manager and without having to go through the whole loop. But there are other outcomes that are possible as well. So just wanted to make sure that inclined doesn't mean you're getting the job, right? You will get the job if there is a job to give you. Now on the not inclined, so not inclined, well, that's basically, again, that's what it is. During the debrief, the decision was that the panel didn't believe you, or a candidate raised the bar, and so after deliberation, the hiring manager and the bar raiser either both agreed that the vote is to not that the panel isn't inclined to hire candidate, or in my case, very rare occasions. In fact, I've never seen an occasion like that, but technically speaking, it's possible when the hiring manager wants to hire a candidate and the bar raiser is vetoing that. So then that becomes a not inclined as well. And from then on, essentially, in most cases, your profile would either be what's called recycled, which means that you can apply to other jobs, or you will be advised that you need to wait until you can reapply. The so-called cooling off period. And always, if you do get a not inclined response, follow up with your recruiter and ask them if there is indeed a cooling off period, so that whether you'd be just wasting your time applying during this cooling off period or not. Have I missed anything? I think I've tried to cover all eventualities of inclines and not inclines.
Yep, I guess the only thing that I have to add is that there is a new policy as regards the cooling off period. So it used to be, I'm just looking at it here actually, it used to be that it was very inconsistent across the business as regards what the actual stated cooling off period was. Some teams would choose 2 years, some teams would choose 1 year, some teams would choose 6 months. There is now a new policy implemented where it is universal that someone who is moved into a cooling off period is moved into a 12-month cooling off period. It also used to be not systematically enforced. So quite often, even if a candidate was told that they were in a cooling off period, they might still actually get approached by a recruiter, or their application that they've randomly thrown in might actually get picked up because it wasn't systematically recorded that they're in a cooling off period. Now, as I understand it, there is a new mechanism for systematically recording that someone is in a cooling off period. So for clarity, cooling off period, if you're put in it, will be 12 months. It is definitely worth asking your recruiter, because the recruiters aren't great on volunteering that information. Not entirely sure why. I think it's usually just an oversight on their part rather than anything intentional.
Cool
so
beans.
That is hot off the press, new information.
Yes, beautiful. Our candidates are amazing with what we can learn from them. Right. Gigi, do you want to take the next one, or are you still
no, I'm good.
YouTube?
LinkedIn is live. It's all good. It's all good. It's just obviously quiet there today. Okay. So Hazim, go for Hazim. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. Let's just put Ashgar back. Let me just read this quick one. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, let's go for this. So you're interviewed for an L7 role, and you know that the process that they don't provide feedback for the reason. And then, do I think it'd be a wise idea to reach out to the hiring manager via LinkedIn and ask for objective feedback? Well, you can certainly reach out. I don't think anybody's going to take exception to you actually reaching out. I suspect the odds of getting that feedback are pretty slim. It's a universal policy. It's not just a policy that applies to recruiters. It is a universal policy that everybody is supposed to adhere to in Amazon. No one is supposed to give you detailed feedback about why it was that you didn't pass the process. No harm in asking. You never know. They might be able to give you some kind of indicators or suggestions that might be useful to you. But I would just temper your expectations on that outreach. No harm, but odds I don't think are great of getting something that you can actually specifically use to improve your performance in future interviews. Okay, I shall pop Hazim back.
Cool. And I'm gonna go and put the question from, I don't know if it's Sere or Siri. Apologies, I'm going to see in this in Day One Careers Amazon interview coaching sessions, we butcher not just first names and last names, We also butcher handles and nicknames.
Oh,
So
for sure. And we got to butcher everything, really. We can't, be discriminatory. Everybody gets a butchering.
yes, it's the butchery. Anyway, so the question is, the recruiter told me the salary range for the position, but it is lower than what I want. If I get the offer, can I negotiate, or can I increase the level afterwards? Right. So for the level, so yes, you can have your level increased afterwards, but it has to be through a promotion. You'll have to follow the promotion process. In terms of increasing the level during the interview, um, uh, they won't quote unquote increase your level, but in very exceptionally rare cases, during my coaching practice, I've seen two of those cases. When, for example, a candidate was interviewing for an L6 role, the panel, including a bar raiser who was at an L7, decided the candidate was actually overqualified for an L6 and would raise the bar for an L7. The role that the candidate was interviewing for could be rescoped at an L7. It just so happened that the hiring manager had that option to just rescope the role for an L7, and then they offered that candidate the role to an L7. So I've had two of these scenarios in my entire coaching career. I don't know how many Gs you've had. Obviously, you've had probably more because you obviously bar raised all the loops and you have the insight. But apparently, as far as I can tell, it is happening, but it's a very rare occasion. In most cases, you'll either get the job at the level they interview at or not, and then after you join Amazon, you need to fight for that level increase through a promotion, which will not happen immediately, but it's definitely possible. And then coming back to the opening bit of your question, can you negotiate a salary after you get the offer? Yes, you can. It doesn't matter what the offer what the offer range is. You can always negotiate. Now the question is, are they going to increase your offer? That depends on many different factors, but from what I can tell, and I don't know if I'm reading this correctly, if the top end of that range is below what you want, and if it is unacceptable to you to accept an offer unless the offer is at or above the top range that they gave you, it's very unlikely that you will be able to get them to overshoot the top range for the role. I've never seen it happening. I've seen candidates successfully negotiating to move higher and higher up within that range, which is what would be called the range penetration at Amazon. So that does happen. And if you negotiate successfully, and if you have the data and the factors that work in your favor and increase the urgency on Amazon's end, yes, you can do that. But in terms of overshooting completely the range of the role, I've never seen this happen. So that's my hopefully extensive answer, but I'd be keen to pass it to Gigi to talk about up levels as an outcome of loops. Have you seen many of them?
No, they're very rare. And they're very rare primarily because it's easy to downscope a role. So if you come across a candidate and you feel that they're not quite raising the bar at the level that they're interviewing for, but everyone really likes them and the hiring manager really wants them, the process you can go through is effectively de-scoping a role. You take some of the responsibilities out of the role and maybe you hand them off to spread them around other members of the team, or you drop them. And therefore you've made the job of a smaller scope, and therefore you can take someone on a level below. It is much harder to up scope a role because essentially there has to be room above or to the side to increase the responsibilities and the scope of work that person would be doing. It's not often in Amazon, or I'm sure in most organizations, that there is work hanging around that no one else is doing, just waiting for someone to scoop it up in their scope. So it is very rare to actually up level someone in a particular role that they are interviewing for. In terms of, can I just circle back to the exceptions process for offers above the top end of the range? So there is an exceptions process that hiring managers can use to try and get candidates that they really want closed in terms of an offer. They have to write a business case, and that business case has to be approved by their VP in their organization, or at least that was the process last time I was there. It's possible these processes have been changed. I can't confirm that that's exactly the process as it is now, just for insurance policies there. And what generally would happen then is, if it gets approved, lovely jubbly, you're at the top end of the range, or you're above the top of the range, but that has two knock-on consequences. The first knock-on consequence is you're not going to get a pay rise in the next year, as long as you're in that level, at that compensation that you've agreed with them, you're not going to be seeing any pay rises. Pay rises are generally quite small anyway once you're in the business, but nonetheless, that's a watch out. The second thing to be aware of is, if you then go on and get a promotion to the level above you, because you're already earning within the salary band of the level above you, because you've got an exception to go above the level that you were in, you're unlikely to see a pay rise as well. I've seen that happen on a number of occasions, where people have come in on exceptions above the top end of the salary band at their original level, and then when they've been promoted, they've got zero in terms of incremental compensation, because they're actually already in the band for the group, for the level above. So those are two things just to be aware of. Okay.
Cool beans. Do you want to take the next one?
Right, let's pop this person back. We've got Erica with a K. Very good. I love Erica with a K. She kind of shakes it up a bit. It's like me with the way I spell my name. But okay, how long after the interview does the interview team have a debrief? Okay, Erica, that's a bit of a how long is a piece of string question. Because after loop, you're referring to team here. So I'm going to assume you mean at the final stage, which loop, panel, final round, whatever you want to call it. They have a 5-day SLA to return to you the outcome of the debrief, which means effectively the debrief can happen anything from an hour after you finish your last interview, which I'm not a fan of, and I'll circle back to that in a second, up to literally an hour before the end of the day on the 5th day that they're supposed to get back to you. Anytime within that time frame is when they can do the debrief. The debrief requires, depending on the number of interviewers you've had, somewhere between, let's say, 4 and maybe even 8 people to all be able to be on the same call at the same time. The logistics of orchestrating that is a complete nightmare. And recruitment coordinators, who are the people that orchestrate and organize all of that, are incredibly hardworking people with an incredibly tough job. So if you ever talk to a recruitment coordinator, be nice. They have a tough job. So it's pretty much any time within that window. I said I'd circle back to the 1 hour after your interview. Sometimes I did have experiences as a bar raiser of debriefs being set like an hour after a candidate's interview. I would always push back on that. I think that my personal view was that everybody on the interview panel needs a bit more time than 1 hour to think about their thoughts on the candidate, gather their thoughts, make their decision in terms of their initial vote, and then for everybody else to actually have time to read the feedback. So in most cases, based on my experience, which is obviously only a very small sample of a much, much larger sample base, somewhere between day 2 and day 4 after you've finished your final interview. Okay, shall I pop Erica back? Erica with a K, and then you can take
and
next one.
Let's get Abdul here. So the question is, does the cooling off period apply to candidates who did not pass the online assessment? So as far as I could tell, cooling off period applies only if you're unsuccessful in your loop. For other earlier types of assessments, I don't believe a cooling off period applies. What's your understanding, Gigi?
That is my understanding, and I'm not aware of any recent changes to that.
Me neither.
Okay.
That was a bit of a cop-out question for me, so you get all the difficult ones.
AJ's here for the dance show.
AJ knows the value, where to find value.
I don't know if we'll last that long because we're running out of questions here, but AJ, we'll give it to you if we get a few more questions and we can last that long. So before I pick the next one, which looks like it's the last one that we have on the list, please, folks, just throw your questions out there. There are no silly questions. Please don't be
No.
shy. We've carved the time aside, so we're here for you. And if you've run out of questions, grand, I will go and make the dinner. It is chicken again today. Evgeny just said that.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's always chicken. We eat so much chicken in my house. It's terrible.
And as always, I'm not invited. So
no, it'll be cold by the time you get here. But folks, yeah, please do bang down a couple more questions if you have them, and then if not, we can all go and do something else. Right. So let's just pick this question from Minu. Does Amazon provide volunteering opportunities for technical roles like work for a project on a volunteer basis? Okay. So I'll give you my thoughts on this. And I don't know, Yevgeny, whether you know something different, but I'll share what I think. And then if you've got other information, you can always jump in. Okay. So I don't believe that there is any type of kind of centralized programmatic way of giving individuals opportunities to work on other projects. But without question, it is, well, I say without question because Evgeny could tell me I'm wrong, but my understanding is that as an individual, if there is a particular type of work or a particular type of project that you're keen to get involved with, you can have that conversation with your hiring manager. And based on your hiring manager and yourself being comfortable that you can fill your own job's requirements in full, as well as doing something else for another team, they may well be able to help you orchestrate some kind of external to your team project work with another team. But it's on a very ad hoc basis. I don't believe Amazon makes any firm commitments to its employees that they will be allowed to do this and for how long and to what percentage of the hours they work. But as a principle, can you go and work on other projects that aren't core to your particular role? On principle, yes, but it isn't structural in terms of the way it's organized. That would be my experience. Is yours any different, Yevgeny?
Yeah, it's the same. So, and then it really depends on what team and what role you're in, because some of these pro bono opportunities, they tend to kind of disseminate and distribute themselves across job codes or job families. When I was at Amazon, I've known tech folks, buddies of mine who were in tech roles participate in, I believe it was called the Day of Code or the Hour of Code. I don't actually remember, but essentially, it's you go out to local schools somewhere. I think you need to nominate what schools you go to, and with together with someone else, and you deliver a lecture on code. And I think you just end up using stuff like Scratch or any kind of pre-code software or kind of educational framework that you want. I've also known of folks in non-tech roles also volunteer and do something with schools around holding for what's it called
So Mina's just popped in and she's clarifying. She's actually asking whether Amazon will let people who do not work for Amazon go and volunteer in Amazon to work on projects. The answer to that is no.
No, I've never heard of that. As
No.
an intern, well, it's paid.
Yeah,
Yay.
intern roles for sure, but not just a random volunteer. It's ridiculously high risk from a kind of data protection point of view, from an intellectual property point of view, from a kind of employee law point of view. I cannot imagine any organization, or at least one that's well organized, would offer that as a possibility. So no, you can't just randomly volunteer at Amazon to work on projects. Internships, yes, there are very, very good intern programs that they advertise all over the place, but those internship programs, I think, are a minimum of 6-month placements, I think.
I can't imagine Amazon, which is a for-profit organization, to actually have unpaid internships.
No, they
I
won't.
don't think it would be legal.
No, they wouldn't. I mean, that's another question. Are unpaid internships legal? I think they are, or at least in the UK they are. So I would expect in the US they more than
Of course.
likely are. If they're legal here,
I've
they'd
never
almost
seen them. I've never seen them when I was
definitely be
working.
legal in the US. But no, Amazon just wouldn't do that. The risk profile is just insane. But thank you for clarifying that. Otherwise, we would have gone on
Yes.
for ages talking about something that you didn't actually ask us.
Should I pick the next one?
Yeah, you pick the next one.
I thought it was mine. You know. Oh no, that was my addition. Right. We've got. Oh yes, there's a follow up here. Can I then negotiate the hiring bonus or stock options better? You know, when I kind of talk to you about negotiations, I always talk about negotiating the total compensation package, which includes your cash and non-cash. And cash would then split into your base salary, and your signing bonus. And then obviously the rest of the components of your total compensation, that would be your stock options. So all of that in and bundled together, this is what you would typically negotiate with Amazon. You don't just negotiate salary, you negotiate the total compensation. And then I guess it begs the question, you know, your original question, you said that salary was lower than you expected. Then I guess what I'm unclear of, well, what about the total comp, right? Including the stock and including the signing bonus. How was that? Because if the total compensation was acceptable to you, then I guess, you know, you might want to reevaluate your your evaluation of how attractive this role is to you. In terms of whether you can negotiate the split between your salary and stock, I'd say it's probably easier to negotiate stock, then bonus, and then the base salary. Base salary is where Amazon tends to be the least flexible. I think we've covered it all, no?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so let me just work my way. This is like a three-parter. And I'm not even sure if I got an answer for the end of it, but let's try it anyway. Okay, so is there a salary range for L4s at Amazon? When I was asked about salary expectation post loop, okay, so someone didn't ask you until after the loop, which isn't great. Folks, always try and understand what the salary range is for a role before you get anywhere near loop, ideally before you even get into the first interview. Just saves everyone wasting their time. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. And the recruiter said, I'm thinking some dollars. Okay, so they gave you some kind of a sense, but it's not guaranteed. Then you were forced to give a range. I gave a range 10K less and more in that range. The recruiter said what he said was not guaranteed. Okay. Felt like I was trapped. Recruiter tactics. Realized this after 2 weeks of accepting the offer. Okay, right. So let's go back to the first question, which is there a salary range for L4s? No, there is not one single salary range for L4s. There are different salary ranges for different levels for different job families. I think so that's the answer to your question, I suppose. And there wasn't really a question in the rest of it. There was just kind of a little bit of a story. But I think just kind of the moral of the story, for lack of anything else, is when you go into a job interview process, and I would argue this to be the case of any job interview process, not just Amazon, you need to establish whether what's on offer is going to be acceptable to you. There's lots of kind of game playing around. I don't want to tell them my range so that they don't then undercut me when we get to things later on. And sure, you can kind of play games if you like, but essentially the salary range that they're offering should reflect what is reasonable in the market, because any large organization is going to be spending, they'll have whole teams dedicated to researching what the reasonable range is to get the quality of candidates that they want in the job family, in the market where you're applying for, or this role is going to be based. You should do the same research. And in theory, both of your independent researching should take you to more or less the same place. So ideally, you want to start your process with the recruiter, with them telling you what the range is. Some will do it, some will not. I'm really not sure why they don't, because Amazon recruiters do not get any type of compensation based on the salary or the offer that you end up taking out. So I've never really understood why anybody withholds that information. But if they are withholding that information, you should then be in a position, having done all of the research that you need to do, to tell them that your understanding is that the salary range in the particular market, in the particular job family that you're in, as you understand it, runs from here to there. And your expectation is that they would be within that range. So you don't necessarily have to give them an exact number, but you do really need to give them a range so they can at least tell you whether they're going to be able to be inside that range or not. And if they say they aren't going to be able to be inside that range, then it's up to you to decide whether you want to continue on with the process. I personally would never go through a process where a recruiter is unwilling to tell me whether they can be within a range that I have provided to them. I don't see why any organization shouldn't be willing to share that information. And I personally would push very hard with it if they weren't forthcoming. Would you add anything, Yevgeny? I know you're kind of the negotiation king in our partnership. I don't know what queen I am, but you get to be the negotiation king.
Thanks. Happy to take that note, but I think you've done an excellent job explaining all the ins and outs of negotiating and getting into the interview process in a thoughtful way with regards to the compensation that you get in the end. So yeah, very nicely done. By the way, yeah.
I was going to say, it's time for dancing. Before you move on to the next one, it's time for dancing. But did you have something else to say there?
Yes, apparently. So I've just checked the Twitter. Apparently, we've got 8 folks watching us on Twitter. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell, StreamYard doesn't have any way to pick up any comments that you can sort of collect through Twitter Lives or X Lives. And I actually have no idea whether the specific live integration on X allows you to ask questions. So apologies for that, guys. But I'm glad that you're all with us. So we've got 8 folks joining from X. How about that?
Oh, well, I didn't even know I'd set it up with X. I wasn't paying
No,
attention.
I set it up. I've added it as a
You did it.
destination on my profile.
Right. Okay, cool. I was thinking, when did I do that?
Yeah. Anyway, now we can go to
Now
what
we can go for the
AJ
dancing. For
came here for.
AJ's moment. Are you ready? You sat down, AJ. You got a cup of tea to enjoy the experience. Okay, so folks, just pausing ever so briefly here to make a request of you. Obviously, we put tons of effort into this channel. There's years and years of work that's gone into this channel. I hope you're enjoying the shorts, by the way, folks. I would love to know whether any of you have seen the shorts that I've been loading up recently. Let me know if you have and if you like them, and if there's any other shorts that you'd like to see. That'd be great, because I've got a content calendar planned for that. But we put a lot of effort into this channel, along with these lives and our website as well. And we do it this for you for free. We want to help, all of that good stuff. But in return, we do have quite a serious request, which is, whenever you watch a piece of our content, please do give it a like or put a little comment into the comment. That is an indicator of positive engagement for the algorithm. The algorithm will then say to itself, great, yes, we are producing good content. Day One Careers are producing good content, and they will effectively promote our content in the algorithm even further. Obviously, that's good for us, but equally, it's good for other candidates who are out there looking for good, honest, direct, clear, and full scope content on their Amazon interview process. There's just the most enormous amount of, I was going to swear, not allowed to swear. English people swear a lot. And I have to be much more cognizant of that when I'm speaking on the internet. So there's lots of rubbish out there on the internet. And we've, in our time, come across candidates that have just taken horrible advice, both in person from coaches that didn't know what they were talking about, and from random sites on YouTube. And we've had to try and unpick that for them. So please, if you could give us a little thumbs up or a little comment. I will always reply to comments on YouTube. Well, not always, most of the time, other than when they're rude, and then I just delete them. You'd be surprised how many people say offensive things, but there we go. Please do that. And we're just going to play you a little song now for a few seconds so that you can go away and do that for this live stream. And then we will kick off the second half. So let me just find it now. What one will we use? Oh, I'll use the one with me and Yevgeny in it. So this one's a little bit loud, folks. So you might, if you have headphones on, you might just want to pop them off your ears a bit. Here we go. Please like the stream now. Please like the stream now. Please like the stream now. Please like the stream. 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 There we go. I've lost one. We always lose at least one person through the course of that. It's just clearly I'm too unhinged. We're too unhinged for them and they opt out.
Indeed. By the way, folks, also folks on X, if you want to ask a question, maybe just do a post and tag me and see if that works. But anyway, let's keep going.
All right, do you want to pick the next one?
Yeah, let's do that. So right, so you've just
So I think it's A.
Okay. A. Hello, A. I just got rejected after a call from the hiring manager for a non-tech role. I still felt like the conversation was good. So should I apply for additional roles? So far, my blacklisted for some time now. So folks, there's no blacklist. Even if you get into the cooling off period, there's not a blacklist, right? It's just the cooling off period is there to facilitate you to hopefully take up projects, roles, and responsibilities that will enable you to interview more successfully. And Amazon understands that things take time, so it's not a blacklist, right? And I know that not Amazon, not any other organization that has some sort of cooling off period. Like I know McKinsey, for example, has a cooling off period. They will never call it a blacklist because you're in most cases welcome to apply after you come in with more stuff to talk about in your interview. Now, back to your question about additional roles. So it sounds like you didn't pass through a phone screen with a hiring manager. There are no cooling off periods after that. And if you are a hiring manager and you go through the same process on the inside, you will see that quite a few folks who you end up interviewing throughout your tenure as a hiring manager, they would have had multiple rejections after different phone interviews or resume reviews, oftentimes because because the hiring manager figured that their functional credentials weren't something that they were looking for. So don't worry about it. Just apply for additional roles. Just make sure your applications are relevant to your professional profile. That's kind of all I have. Anything you'd add, Gigi?
No, absolutely fine. Okay, should we move on to the next one?
I think it's Danny.
Danny. Oh, that's such a cute little profile picture. I love that. Actually, do you know what? I can't wear earbuds with cords. I get caught. I don't know if it's just a me thing, but wherever I go, if I've got them with cords on, I end up garrotting myself because I get caught on something. But there we go. That's just a useful bit of Gail, my life. Anyway, is the cooling off period set that you cannot apply for any other role at Amazon for that period, or are you eligible to apply to another team for a similar role if available? The change in policy for the cooling off period means that you cannot apply for any other role in Amazon. If you put your application in, you will be identified as in a cooling off period, and you will be dispositioned as being not eligible for consideration for that role. So set your clock on the day you find out that you have a not inclined, and you will have to wait 12 months to the day to be able to apply for any other role in Amazon. Again, that's a change. It used to be much more out there in terms of whether you could or couldn't apply for any other role and teams would consider you. But now policy is really, really very simple, clear, specific, which I think is brilliant and super helpful because then everybody knows where they stand and we can give very specific advice. Not that that's why they did it, but nonetheless, it's helpful to us. They did it to make our lives easier. Right. Do you want to pick the next one?
Yes. So there's a question from Pavi. Do you have any tips around interviewing for one level up within the company? My interviews are scheduled for next week. I'm an L6 interviewing for an L7.
So it
So
sounds like Pavi's an existing Amazonian who's
she's an
doing,
existing
yeah.
Amazonian. She's an existing Amazonian. Sounds like, from what I can tell, she found an L7 role that she's interested in. So sounds like what she's trying to do is get herself into that role as an L6, and then hopefully get promoted and get her L7. Um, I have I've seen many cases like that. In fact, for one of the roles that I was hiring for, I've had a few applicants who were actually one level below to what the role was scoped, and it took me a while and took us a while to discuss what we should be doing with these candidates if we like some of them. And indeed, there was a process to downscope the role, get the person in as the level before, but not knowing that there's a promotional opportunity there. All I would say is, um, uh, do your best in an interview. Bring the your most your most complex, most impactful work to the table. That's about it. Because at the end of the day, even though technically speaking, from a process standpoint, they would have to bring you in at a level where you are right now, but the only way that they would actually be willing, or I'm second guessing this as a hiring manager. So for me, bring someone in, say I'm hiring for an L7, but you're a promising L6, for me to kick the role down to an L6, bring you in. Essentially, I want to see an L7 and they're almost already, so that I can be very confident that even though you're going to come in as an L6, I will immediately load that additional scope on top of you, even though you're an L6, and then fast track promotion. That's kind of how I would be looking at it. But that's it's outside of the bounds of what the official policy is. This is how a hiring manager would be looking at it, and that's how I would be looking at it. What would you say, Gigi, to someone like that?
Yeah, so I was just reading Pavi's follow-on messages, because you're right. As far as I'm concerned, you can't interview up level. You can only move jobs in Amazon at the same level. And if you want promotions in Move are incredibly rare, and they require a business case in the same way a promotion case is required in post, as I understand it. So I'm just reading the further comments, which is if a senior associate with the title, most often it is an L6, there is a mild chance it could be L7. They are willing to hire me as an L7 through the interview process. Okay, so I still think, Pavi, what your hiring manager would have to do is literally write a promotion case for you through your interview and do some kind of a promotion case document in order to get approval for you to move to an L7, because it's still a promotion, whether you're moving to a different role or whether you're staying in the same role, it's still a promotion. So from your interview point of view, I would actually approach the interview, if it was me, as if I was doing an in-person version of a promo doc. So I would be approaching my stories in the context of, if I was to put these stories into a promo doc, what would those stories need to say in order to be able to build a case for my promotion? So, you would need to obviously be demonstrating at bar in terms of the L7 for the various leadership principles. So you need to have a look at the people around you that are L7s and be thinking, what are they demonstrating behaviors wise? What am I seeing from these people? You'd need to be thinking, okay, in my promo doc, I would have to show quite a broad range of scope of examples that demonstrate the scope of the work that I do. Bigger, more senior you are in Amazon, the more scope you have in Amazon. So I'd be thinking, okay, how do I make sure, as I would in a promo doc, that I've got a really broad range of scope examples? Other things that you would probably be thinking about in a promo doc is you'd be looking for stories around examples that take you outside of the normal parameters of your role. So I'd be thinking about using examples where maybe I've worked with teams internationally, where I might not usually work with teams internationally. I'd be thinking in a promo doc, I would probably need you would need sponsorship of people who are at a higher level than you. So if you were looking for an L7 promo, you'd need sponsorship from a number of L7s, probably L7s from different job families, as well as L7s internationally. So again, I'd be thinking about, do I have stories where I've worked with L7s in other teams? Have I got stories where I've worked with international teams. That's how I would approach an interview where I was aiming to both move roles and get a promotion at the same time. I hope that helps. Does that make sense to you, Yevgeny? Is it a strategy?
Yes, I'm just as you were talking about it, I actually remember that I did hear about a process where you can apply for, so you can come in at, let's say, an L6, and you can apply for an L7 role, and you can make a case to be interviewed as an L7. But I think what you have to prove is that when you were hired at Amazon, you were misleveled. So you're actually an L7, but you were misleveled on entry, and then your loop will have to be bar raised. So I think
That's
that's
a complex process.
I do remember there's a process like that. I also do remember learning that it is exceptionally rare when this happens. But if it is indeed something that Pavi is gunning for, I mean, all we can wish is the best. And your guidance and my guidance will apply regardless of what the actual process is, because one way or the other, you need to demonstrate you're an L7 already there in the bag.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to Ashgar, because actually I can't answer this question, but I'm just gonna run through it, and then you're gonna need to give us some more information, Ashgar. So you got an email after the loop with comments like, the decision wasn't easy. They were truly impressed by your experience. Actually, I have decided I can answer this. Your bias for action and how you deliver results. What does that mean, inclined or not inclined? Okay, so I can't tell exactly what the outcome is, because there must be a sentence somewhere else in that email that says, unfortunately, we're not going to be offering you the role, or you can apply again for other roles, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure there's much more information in the email than you've given us. And the important bit is not in what you've given us. But I'm going to make a judgment call and aim to touch on my "are right a lot" leadership principle, which is, if someone is saying the decision wasn't easy, that sentence, that phrase only tends to come really when they're going to tell you that they're not offering you the job. Because if anyone's going to offer you the job, they don't bother telling you that it was a hard decision to offer you the job. That's rather insulting. If you're going to invite someone into your organization, to tell them it was really hard to decide to invite you into our organization.
We really didn't want to hire you. The
Yeah,
decision was
yeah,
so
we
hard,
really didn't want to,
but
but
we
there were a
then
few
decided
people
to
that
still
fought
bring
for
you
you.
in because there
Exactly.
was no one else out there.
So although I do not have the important sentences from the email, because you haven't pasted them there, just by purely looking at that one phrase, this decision wasn't easy, my "are right a lot" suggests to me that you've probably got a not inclined outcome. But if you want to paste the whole email in here and we can just confirm that that is correct, by all means do. I'm making a high judgment decision based on that phrase only. Okay, do you want to pick up Danny's there?
Danny isn't a question. Danny is just making a point that
making a point.
so he applied for an SD role, which wasn't with the level, and then once they got past the technical phone screen, and recruiter then notified level in the email in the final stage. Yeah, that happens. It isn't really a question.
I think there's more parts to it, actually. Is there?
I can't see anything else from
No.
Danny.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
I know. Hang on a sec. There was something.
Since I've been moving into Stasit.
Is the cooling off period set saying you apply to any? So we handle that one.
And there's this one here. Woo!
Since I will be moving industry from finance to Amazon tag based, would there be an issue if my current salary is higher than the Amazon range for the role? Well, even if I was comfortable for a drop. Well, no, it's an issue as long as it's an issue for you. And if it isn't an issue for you, then it is an issue if you're comfortable with a drop. So I guess kind of think about what you're gaining and what you're losing by moving. But no, look, as far as Amazon's concerned, if you believe that, if they believe that they want you in the job, if they're inclined to hire you, if there's a job to give you, if they also believe that they leveled your profile appropriately for Amazon, but on this occasion the salary range just happens to be lower than what you're paid, and I can imagine that for some roles that will happen. For some roles it will be the other way around. Amazon will pay a premium. For some roles they won't. It's up to you if you want to take that package. But yes, do consider what you're gaining, what you're losing, and then and then I guess they understand what happened. So when you applied, they then told you what the role is and what the salary and what the compensation range is. I understand what happened. So
Okay, so I'm going
Got
to
it?
pick the next one, and I can skip the questions and just go to this bit of information. So, Erica, you were asking what level your job is, because they haven't mentioned the level in the job description, and they never mention the level in the job description. Yours is an L6. The reason why I know this is that not for all roles, but for a big chunk of roles, they follow a specific nomenclature. I always struggle with enunciating that word, nomenclature. And the nomenclature goes like this. An L5 will be a something manager. So let's just say we're going to use customer success as a proxy here. So an L5 person who's going to go into a customer success job would be a customer success manager. An L6, they put the word senior in front of it. So an L6 would be a senior customer success manager. An L7 would be a customer success senior manager or senior manager customer success. So the word senior and manager go together in the L7 level role. It's usually at the front, senior manager customer success, but sometimes for some reason they put it on the other side. The other thing that they do for L7 roles is principal. Now, my understanding of principle, and I don't believe that this is uniformly applied across the organization, because I have seen exceptions to this. There's always exceptions to every rule, let's be honest. Usually a senior manager, something, is a people manager, and a principal, something, is not a people manager. They're an IC. So you can be an individual contributor at an L7 level. Not all L7s need to be people manager. And you can actually, and I find this wild, you can be an individual contributor at an L8 level, which is a director. Very rare, and I find it absolutely wild, but that does exist as well. Not every single job title conforms to this nomenclature that I've just explained to you. It just so happens that yours did, so I could answer it quite directly. But for everyone else that's listening, if you go and have a look at your job description and the job title on your job description, it might not adhere to this nomenclature. And then there are some other ways that you can try and work out what level it is. For everyone else who doesn't have that nomenclature on the top of their job description and they would like to work out what level it is, there is a video on the YouTube channel where I describe different ways of trying to identify what level your role is, including that nomenclature, but also some other things as well. So you can just kind of search the YouTube channel for job level or something like that, and the video should pop up. Okay. Do you want to take the next one, Yevgeny? Oh, we've only got a few minutes left. Gosh, we did very well. We've got 24 people. We've managed to go for much longer than I thought we would. So do you want to answer one or two more, and then we can make sure the folks get our freebies?
Yes. Okay. This is a fun question. 250K in TC L6 at Amazon on site, or 150K at a chill chemical company remote.
Are we being offered this as an option? Is someone offering to give me these two jobs?
And the nickname is Dash Camarones. I mean, this is a gangster nickname, and my response has to start with "brah." It really depends. It really depends, brah. What your life priorities are. Also, I don't know what sort of chill chemicals that company is producing. Maybe that comes with the perks
You
of the
need
job
some
as well.
grammar in that sentence.
No, look, I don't know, right? I'm an unassuming Russian guy, So when someone says to me, it's a company that makes chill chemicals, who knows, right? Anyway, jokes aside, look, it really depends. I think for I know what I would personally pick. I'd pick Amazon because they if you like entrepreneurship, if you like fast-paced environments, if you like if your passions lie within the realms of innovation, inventing stuff, kind of running fast, being extremely sort of being a part of an energized environment, then I would always pick Amazon. But if your life priorities are different, and if you do want a more relaxed job that happens apparently to be in the plastics industry, a very mature company, um, then then pick that one. It really is really depends on like how much of that sort of energy you want to come from the job element of your life. So really personal choice, but I would personally pick Amazon. But because I've already been there, and I've experienced it and I absolutely loved every second of it. I wish for everyone to at least try it once. So do you want to pick
That's
the
what I
next
say
one,
to
or
my
should we?
children when they don't want to try something food-wise. Just try it. You never know.
Yeah, that's what my
Right.
mother-in-law says. Just taste it
Mhm,
and see.
just try. Doesn't your mother-in-law like fill everything with like the hottest spices she possibly can?
That's how she, that's how
That's how she
she.
rolls.
Exactly.
Right, so this is our last question, folks, and then we're going to give you a freebie. So seriously, don't disappear; you'll regret it. So, Emmett, you're scheduled for a final interview, AWS facilities manager. Okay, there's another opening you're also interested in, a commissioning engineer. Should I wait to apply now to avoid getting locked out? Thank you. Why would you get locked out? Um, I think you're talking about whether there's some kind of impact from if you fail one, are you going to get the 12-month cooling off period, which is an interesting scenario that I haven't thought of. And I might do some digging and see if I can work out what happens there. But no, we would suggest that you just apply for roles that you're interested in. Just don't screen yourself out of anything voluntarily. If Amazon is willing to accept your application, then put your application in and then see where it goes. Sometimes if people are applying for multiple roles, if the roles are similar enough, they will consolidate the loop at the end of the process so that you only have to interview once for multiple roles. But it sounds like these are actually quite different roles. So I would suspect that would not happen here. And those two individual processes would function quite independently. But I would say that to everybody. If there are multiple roles that you're interested, just apply. Don't wait and see what happens with one role versus another. Just statistically speaking, you disadvantage yourself there. But I would say if you're going to apply for multiple roles, don't apply for roles that are vastly different. I've seen cases where you're looking at candidate applications and they seem to be applying for L5s, L6s, and L7s across multiple different job families, and you're looking at going, this is wild. This person is clearly just throwing as much mud at the wall as they possibly can and seeing what sticks. And there's nothing more off-putting than someone who clearly isn't specifically interested in your job. They're just interested in a job. That's not very attractive to a hiring manager. Okay, so folks, I said we would give you some amazing freebies, which I will. So where's that free stuff banner? There it is. Let me turn off the ticker tape because that's distracting. Oh, see that little drop down? That was clever. All right, it's underneath you, so you have to start.
Okay, so folks, this is where you get all the free stuff, and just let us quickly tell you what free stuff you're getting. So, do you want to tell? Do you want to tell the free stuff, or should
Oh,
I
you
tell the free stuff?
started. You can
Okay,
finish.
fine.
Do a Brucey bonus, Bruce on this
Yeah.
one. I've started, so I've finished.
All right, cool. So, first of all, we are going to give you a free course on customer obsession. So, on that page, and we just merchandise, we dumped all the free stuff that we have in there. So, the free course on customer obsession, it will teach you all the ins and outs of customer obsession, all the facets of customer obsession, which is our innovation, which is how we teach you what these leadership principles are all about in such a way that enables you to then go into your memory and pick out the situations and the stories that match the behaviors and the themes, the behavioral themes that Amazon is looking for when they interview you on different leadership principles. And customer obsession will be present in most of the loops, most of the interviews at Amazon. So it's the bedrock. It's it's how Amazon started, customer obsession. So you want to go and learn that. And we also give you a full mock interview where Gigi interviews Gigi as well. And so, but she does an excellent job as a candidate, as an interviewer. So you will learn what great looks like when it comes to interviewing. So that's the first freebie. Go and get it. The second one that we give you there is called Amazon Interview Tool Pack. It is a PDF with loads and loads of tips and strategies on how to prepare for your Amazon interview, including, and this tends to be a very popular thing, over 90 vetted example Amazon interview questions, which are sorted and grouped by every leadership principle at Amazon. Now, these aren't the official Amazon interview questions. We don't have those, but we don't need those, because if, like us, you've been interviewing when you worked at Amazon for quite a while, and if you've coached candidates, as many candidates as we have, you intimately know all the themes and all the behaviors. And also through your work experience, if, like us, you used to work at Amazon, you would know what every leadership principle stands for. And that's why we gave you over 90 vetted Amazon interview questions examples. This saves you having to go to things like Glassdoor and anywhere else where you're just gonna find a lot of junk. So save yourself going in the wrong direction by downloading junk, and just get our Amazon interview tool pack. And then lastly, when you go and get yourself either the tool pack or the customer obsession course, you will automatically be added to our free community. And in this free community, in the main channel, we have a bot that answers your questions. Now, this bot is running on ChatGPT technology. It's running on GPT-4, and it's trained on all of our blog and YouTube content. So if you've watched our YouTube content, if you've read our blog with articles on Amazon, and you have any questions, that bot will use all of that body of knowledge to answer your questions. I mean, I think as a freebie, this is insane. I wish I had this freebie when I was a candidate and I was preparing. There you go.
I mean,
Anything about this?
no, I mean, there wasn't even a decent YouTube channel when I was a candidate and
No.
preparing, and now there's kind of a glut, albeit ours is the best. So no, that's it, folks. So we are done for today. Thank you so much for coming. We've got a really good turnout today. I'm just so thrilled to see so many people, and thank you for the amazing and really on point questions. It was really good fun today. So if you're still preparing for your interview next week, come back next week. We're going to be here. Bring your questions, bring your friends, bring your outcomes if you manage to get yourself hired. We love hearing from people who've managed to use our channel to get hired, of which there are many. I get probably, I don't know, 15, 20 messages a week from people just saying thanks for the channel. So if you're one of those, please come back and share with everyone, because I think it gives everyone a little bit of a boost. So until then, everyone, have a great week. If you are interviewing, we have our fingers very, very tightly crossed for you. And please do go take those freebies. They're free. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
All right, Evgeny, I'm off to make the chicken now.
And I'm off to, I actually have no idea what I'm off to, but hey ho.
Hey ho, never mind.
Next week.
All right, ciao, everybody. See you, Evgeny.
Ciao, bye.
Bye.